Who's really the worst character in the game? Now this is a pretty broad question and it could have a lot of different answers depending on who you are and how you want to play. That being said, I still want to know the answer and hopefully you do as well. There's a couple contenders we gotta talk about before we decide who's the actual worst. And these are not in order of best of the worst to worst of the worst. They're all gonna be equal contenders. I'm gonna talk about all of them and then decide which one is the actual worst based on that. But yeah, with that said, I'm gonna start off with Mount Lady. Now I'll be honest, I think based on her kit alone, she's probably one of the hardest characters to balance in the entire game. And I get the feeling that'll be a reoccurring thing. Now her regular kit isn't really too bad, to be honest. I mean, she punches kind of slow, but other than that, it's not bad. She's got a stomp just like Red Deku. She's got a dash she can use for offense or for movement. Like, really, as far as her base kit goes, she just got power crept. 2 dashes on her Gamma isn't really enough to escape anyone anymore, especially while trying to balance that out with her offense since it's one of her major damage options. She also has no range pretty much and not enough movement to close the distance most of the time. But the real issue with Mount Lady is her special action, Gigantification. Trying to use this shit in a lobby above expert is not for the weak. If more than 2 teams see you, which they will, you're pretty much fucked. But that goes into what I was saying about her being hard to balance, because if they raise her damage reduction too much, she'll be broken. She can be decent in some lower lobbies where you're not gonna get so much attention, but the higher you climb, the more difficult it's gonna be to make her work for sure. Now I've got another fan favorite character who isn't so great in the game, and that's gonna be Overhaul. First and foremost, I want to congratulate my Overhaul mains for getting the new skill set. It's not out yet, but it looks good, so Dabi for y'all. But for the time being, support Overhaul is what you've got, and he is not great at all, man. He's not doing great at all. But I will say, out of everyone on the list, I think I've seen the most Overhauls that are like insanely good. Like the ones where once they catch you the first time, you're not gonna get away. But yeah, man, Overhaul not being great is pretty much directly a result of the meta. He's just completely opposite of the meta, and there's not much he can do about it. Like, this might be the most unfair ranking on the whole video, but his abilities aren't even bad or anything. Like, he's just completely outshined by the meta. Now the idea with this kid is to control space and tank damage that you can just heal up instead of having a movement ability to get away from that damage. But when the damage output is so high and the movement is so fast, they're just putting it on more than he can even heal it. In all honesty, he deserves that skill set more than anyone else, man. I'm just hoping they don't completely abandon support Overhaul and they still tried their best to buff him and make ground characters decent. And on that note, I want to talk about Strike Shiggy for a second, even though he's not technically a part of this video. I mean, he is one of the worst characters, but I don't think he's contending for the actual worst character in the game. Like, he is significantly better than Overhaul at controlling space, and he has some of the highest damage over time in the entire game. It's just, he falls into the same category, which is why I wanted to talk about him. He's really only bad because of the meta. Like, his abilities themselves are actually really good. Now we gotta talk about someone who's not really good, and that is Twice. Twice has fallen from grace, and I think he's another one of those characters that is really difficult to balance. It's like, I can't see a world where he's just decent. He's either really good or he's really bad, no in between. I mean, having a second separate damage output is a really good ability on paper, and they had to nerf it to make him balanced, but it's like he's just really bad now, you know. Like how do you even balance something like that? To account for having a second body with literal auto tracking, his damage isn't very high and his clones are really weak and easy to break. And I mean, again, that sounds like a valid solution to the Twice problem, because when he was broken, he was broken, but now he's just a shell of his former self. And honestly, I'm not even sure what the play is with Twice, because usually when a character's really bad, I have some idea of how to make them good or at least decent, and when a character's really broken, I have some idea of how to tune them down a little bit. But like, his quirk itself is inherently broken. He has one of the strongest quirks in the entire series, so again, it's just difficult to balance, especially in a battle royale where you only get one life really. I mean, respawns, yeah, but who wants to die, right? I mean, they could make the clone a little bit beefier. I think that's probably the route they should go, but it's just gonna be really difficult to find that line, because I feel like he's gonna be really bad until he's not, you know what I mean? Like, he's just gonna be really bad until they cross a certain threshold, and then he's back to being way overtuned immediately. Alright, before the final decision is made, I've got one more character to talk about. I'm sure you were all wondering when I was gonna bring up Dabi. Now it's that time. Dabi gets a lot of flack for being so trash, and I don't think he deserves all that, but they are right. Similarly to some other characters, a large amount of that can be attributed to the meta and it just being the complete opposite of his kit. Both Dabi's got the short end of the stick in this way, but one of them is a little bit worse than the other one for another reason, and that is going to be Strike Dabi. Strike Dabi is worse than Tech Dabi because of the damage he inflicts on himself, man. I know it's lore accurate, but we don't need that shit in a battle royale. Did we learn nothing from Octane? Octane been trash for 20 seasons. What do we learn? But now with new characters dropping that are really good in the meta, the Dabi situation is just getting worse and worse. Strike Dabi has a really good alpha and a really good beta, to be honest. I mean, maybe not really good, but they're definitely both very solid. It's just how much damage he does to himself that's the problem. Like, I mean, and the fact that he can't really hit someone in the air if they're not in his kick range, and he doesn't have much mobility for escape. Another reoccurring theme among bad characters in this game The meta is evil. Strike Dabi's not great, but is he actually the worst character in the game? I think after talking about these not so great characters in quick succession and then comparing them, the answer is becoming more and more obvious. Before I give one, let me know what you think it's gonna be, or if you think there's somebody I missed. Now I think for sure it's not Mount Lady and it's not Overhaul, just off rip. They both really pack a punch and they don't have as many downsides as some other characters. That leaves us with Twice and Strike Dabi. And I said this was getting more and more obvious, but this is honestly a genuinely difficult decision. But I've got to ask myself, which would I rather have on my team in a ranked match? And I think I'd rather have a Strike Dabi on my team. So I'm gonna have to say Twice is the worst in the game. Don't get me wrong, the self-inflicted damage is absolutely detrimental, but his damage output is also really high. But at the same time, Twice has more range. He can actually attack someone like Nagant or Armored All Might flying in the sky, and he probably wouldn't go down as much, meaning I don't have to babysit. But then again, he's probably not gonna get too much damage unless he's like a really good Twice, in which I mean that's not really a valid argument, because if anybody's really good with anyone, they're gonna do good. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave my decision where it is, but I will let it be known that it's very close and it's more up in the air than you'd think. Today's winner, or I guess loser, is gonna be Twice. Congratulations. Let me know if you agree with me, and let me know if I missed someone, because I might have. And if you want to turn this into a drinking or smoking game, hit that shit or take a shot every time I say meta.